Monsieur le Ministre, Monsieur le Préfet, Mesdames et Messieurs.
Minister, Mr. Prefect, dear Lin Jiao, who is the Secretary General of ITU, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure and particularly a great joy for me to take the floor here today in these circumstances. Of course, first of all, it's a huge relief. Of course, we know Arianespace has a reputation for being extremely reliable, but it's always a tense moment for us and for all the others who are participating in this evening's launch. So a great deal of emotion and satisfaction, however, for all of us. And this is not a satisfaction that is born by chance. It's due to the fact that we are working with extremely efficient, rigorous teams. First and foremost, I would like to thank them. First of all, of course, Arianespace, that has given us a successful launch, almost always the case. Well done, all of you. Well done to all the teams who have worked. I'd just like to mention a few names, Jean-Marc Durand and Patrick Tusset particularly, but there are many others who were part of these teams. I'd like to thank Thales Alenia Space for their wonderful work of providing us and supplying us the satellite on time. Stéphane Magna, Stenazio, and all the others have worked unstintingly and continuously to provide this. I'd like to thank the Eutelsat teams. Our technical teams were wonderful. Christophe Duchesne was on the job for 3 years with passion and support. Peter Newell as well. I'd also like to thank Rafi Moussaillon. You've seen him mentioned many times today. He really is a well-known gentleman in the space world. I'd also like to thank other members of his team. Let me say a few words to say that today what we are celebrating is the success of European industry. It's Arianespace, of course, with Thales Alenia Space and Eutelsat. Each in its own domain is a leader, is a shining example of excellence. And as you have said, Stéphane, we have many projects jointly in the future. Some of them, of course, are very important for us. For example, we have a big high-speed internet project for Latin America and also another one for the Pacific area. We also have flexible programs which are very new and different. We will be increasing the wideband and broadband and making it extremely fast. And these are new projects that are very exciting for all of us. And all of us will be involved in them. Let me also briefly talk about our satellite, Eutelsat 8 West B. And I would just like to say a few words in English so that those who are in Jupiter and Tucson can also follow what I'm saying.
Very big satellite. It's a satellite which is next to 6 tons. It carries both Ku-band television services and C-band telecommunication services. The Ku-band services are for the Middle East and North African region, very well represented today by our partners and customers. Our partner Nilesat, Hamdi Amer, thank you very much for being with us today. They've been our partners for 10 years. We're working on a new joint satellite. We've been doing so many things together in Egypt and around Egypt. So that's great. I would like also to congratulate and thank with us our other clients, Noorsat. Omar Choter, CEO, is in Toucan. Also Gulfsat. We have also Mohamed Al-Haj, CEO of Gulfsat, with us. We have our clients from Algeria Telecom. We have also Mr. Belghid, CEO. We have also our clients from Morocco, SNRT, from Mauritania. So both Maghreb, Egypt, and Middle East are concerned. We're talking about an orbital slot, which is the leading one in the Middle East, about 1,000 television channels. It's about 1/5 of the television channels we're carrying. And most importantly, an audience of 52 million homes, 250 million people watching television thanks to Eutelsat and Nilesat at 7-8 degrees west. And this is not just, old television, it's new television, more and more channel, more and more quality channel, high definition, soon ultra high definition, interactive television, which is promoted by our innovation team with Jacques Dutron, who is with us today. We have so many things to deliver. IPTV on multi-screen. In the future, we would deliver video on demand with satellite. And this is something that we do in Europe, but also we do in all markets, in particular in the Middle Eastern market. We have also C-band. The telecommunication payload is a C-band payload. You insisted, Stéphane, on the importance of ITU. We know that we have a big fight to have together the satellite industry to make it such that C-band is preserved for all the needs. C-band serves internet for government, internet for schools, for hospitals. It is television. In Intelsat satellite today, you have a big payload for television C-band. So we need to defend C-band. It's very important for everybody in the future. Again, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the fantastic performance of Arianespace in this launch. And we look forward to work together again. Now, just in a few words, what is going to happen for our satellite? It is now monitored by our team in Rambouillet, which is in fact a joint team of Eutelsat and Thales Alenia Space. They've taken control. Lindsay Pattinson and Marc Belenguet are taking care of that with the Thales team. We will have a number of difficult steps to go through. It's not finished for us. The adventure will last a few weeks. We will have in particular to deploy the solar panels, partly this night in a few hours, and then completely later on. We would have to change the orbit of the satellite to reach the circular geostationary orbit by different maneuvers at apogee. And we will have finally to do all the testing. The satellite will start operationally in the beginning of October to provide the service, the television service and the telecommunication services, which are mostly for Africa and South America. And at that point in time, we would have a big party in Dubai with our Middle Eastern customers to celebrate that. In the meantime, we wish good luck to our satellite. And again, thank you very much, Mr. Minister. And I was so happy that you are here today to be with us and participate in this joyful event. And merci beaucoup encore à la fois à Arianespace, au CNES. Joël, nous étions sur les bancs d'école il y a très longtemps ensemble.
Joël and I shared her school, her desks years ago, and it's very good to see you here again this evening.
Monsieur le ministre, monsieur le préfet, mesdames et messieurs les
Minister, Prefect, elected members,
généraux, amis,
CEOs,
quel lancement fantastique, mais aussi
what an amazing launch, but what stress as well.
me guettait.
I was really very emotional. I'd like to congratulate all of the teams from Eutelsat, Arianespace, CNES, ESA for having carried out the successful launch. Thanks to your expertise and thanks to the usual cooperation, everything went ahead nominally, but it's always much easier to say afterwards, isn't it, when the launch has been a success. Thank you also to the people from Thales Alenia Space for having shown such commitment in the interests and in the service of our customers. Today is a key date, it's a crucial date for Eutelsat 8WB, and everyone at Thales Alenia Space is proud to have made a contribution. Team spirit and mutual trust, they're the watchwords that characterize the relations we have with our partner, Eutelsat. The result of this is what we've seen today, and we expect to continue, and we want to continue this in the long run. The development program, the satellite, 8WB, has proved to be a success. And thanks to the excellent work of some 150 people over 30 months at the different industrial sites in Cannes, Toulouse, contributed to this. It's also thanks to the ecosystem that's been created around some 20 SMEs in France. They're high-tech companies in different parts of France, different regions. It's also thanks to the commitments on the part of the agencies, CNES and the European Agency, that made it possible to develop and qualify new technologies that's fully flexible and that we now see on board this satellite. In other words, receivers, amplifiers and converters. I'm sure you've all understood, and particularly you, Minister, that in the highly competitive world of satellites, excellence is something that we are proud of. It's the fruit of hard work that's continued to be made in the context also of the French policy. And I'd like to thank you and the government for the constant support. It is crucial indeed for our companies that massive investments be made in R&D in order to be able to remain at the forefront of these developments. Satellites and launchers, they're a strategic tool for the state, making it possible to cope with sensitive issues such as defense and security, but they're also important as an economic lever. As regards tonight's launch, and as Michel has just said, just after the separation, the Eutelsat teams have taken over control of the satellite, but I can tell you now that we've received the first signs of life from our baby, and I hope our baby will live a long time. So once again, many thanks to the teams from Arianespace, from Eutelsat, and thanks also to our industrial partners who've worked so hard for this mission. Let me conclude in English.
8WB is important for Eutelsat, as Michel said. It's providing extra coverage to supply the fast-growing digital TV markets. Eutelsat 8WB is also a challenging program for Thales Arianespace. It's one of the biggest spacecraft Thales Arianespace have ever built, equipped with the most flexible and powerful payload. Many thanks to Eutelsat for their confidence in the Thales Arianespace teams. We are honored and proud to be part of this fantastic program. Merci à tous.
Good evening. And I know we have to be brief because we stand between you and the words of a minister and a party. So I try to be quick. Monsieur le Ministre, dear friends, it's a great day, of course, beautiful launch. You may have been in this business for 30 years. It still gives you a thrill to watch a launch, and of course even more when it's your satellite that's being launched. I want to thank Stéphane. I want to thank the teams at Arianespace and CNES for another successful mission. As you said, it's number 55 now. It's been a great collaboration. And frankly, what we ask for is very simple. We want to be launched successfully and on time. That's what you do very well. That's why you are coming back. I want to thank SSL for building another beautiful satellite. John Shelley is not with us today, but John, I know you are watching. So thank you for building our 50th spacecraft. We continue to write a page of the space history together. And 50 is, by the way, a very fitting number. 50 years ago is when the first Intelsat spacecraft was launched. It was called Early Bird, and this satellite, 4 years later, broadcast the first steps of Neil Armstrong on the moon. So it's an important milestone for us as well. I would like to thank our teams in Palo Alto who are always demanding the best from our manufacturer. And most importantly, I want to thank our customers. We have some of them here with us today. This is for you. You are making this possible. And with your help, in a few weeks, Intelsat 34 will start distributing video and media content to millions over Latin America, as well as internet access and TV programs over the Atlantic for those who are lucky enough to travel often between, for instance, the US and Europe. I want to mention that for our teams back at home, our operations team, hard work begins. I got confirmation as well that we have the spacecraft telemetry. Our team in Washington will now raise the orbit of the spacecraft during a few days to geostationary altitude, then test the satellite, and by 1st October we should be ready to start commercial service. So thank you, Jean-Luc, thank you, Joe, thank you, Louis, Dennis, back home, Knut, also. You guys are the best, and I know you have our back. I want to say finally that I'm looking forward to come back here in a few months. We selected, of course, Arianespace to launch our most precious assets, the next generation of our satellite. Each of these epic satellites will have roughly 10 times the capacity of our biggest satellites today. This is also a digital payload that will give us the flexibility to do many new things for our customers. And it will be a joy to be back here and probably watch another beautiful launch. So thank you very much. And I think I leave the floor to Bill.
Congratulations to everyone that worked so hard to make this mission a success so far. Thank you particularly to Thierry and to Ken and all of Intelsat for showing your loyalty and confidence in SSL to allow us the opportunity to build you this satellite. I'd also like to thank Stéphane and the entire Arianespace team. The precision and efficiency in which you work is an inspiration to our field. Finally, I'd like to thank Michel and the entire Eutelsat team for being a good fairing partner and a good upstairs neighbor. This launch, as has been mentioned, carries several significances to SSL, as Intelsat 34 is our 50th satellite being built and delivered for Intelsat, as well as our 51st launch with Arianespace. And another satellite is scheduled to be here for the next launch out of Kourou next month. Some of our launch-based teams have actually stayed since the prior launch and are staying through the next one, which will be our 4th Arianespace launch of the year. It's both exciting and satisfying to celebrate another successful launch here in Kourou, alongside Intelsat and the Arianespace teams, our long-term friends. Our 3 teams have worked together since the launch of the Intelsat 507 satellite in 1983. Space is hard. It takes an incredible amount of skill, dedication, and people hours to accomplish each and every mission successfully. But I think we can all agree that the satisfaction of success makes it worthwhile. Thank you very much for your support and your trust, and let's get to the party.
Bien, Monsieur le Ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs, je vais évidemment être...
Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I will keep it as short as possible because obviously we want to hear from the Minister. Let me first of all begin by congratulating everyone for this further success. It's the 50th success for Ariane 5 ECA. Stéphane's already said that, and that's really quite extraordinary for those of us who are familiar with the full history of the launch vehicle, including the difficult beginnings that we remember. So thank you and congratulations to the teams from Arianespace, CNES, industry, ASL and all the partners. Thanks also to ESA as well. Thank you to the customers. Thank you to the satellite companies for having placed your trust in us. Thank you to French Guiana. Thank you to the elected members, state representatives, the prefect. Thank you for being with us this evening, and thank you to the local population. We've been here with you for over 50 years now. We're now 50 years old at the CSG, and you're with us to share the success. Once again, we're delighted and very proud. This being said, perhaps I could repeat what's already been said by Stéphane earlier on. Today's success is just a step on the way. We welcome this, and it comes just a week after the signing of the Ariane 6 development contracts. And I'd like to congratulate and thank Gaël Winters and his team with us today from ESA for having made it possible to do so with Airbus, with CNES. Minister, Ariane 6 saw the light of day a year ago. ESA, CNES, Airbus Safran launchers decided in the time what would happen as regards Ariane 6, what shape it would take, or when it would come about, and this all dates back to the ministerial of the agency in December 2014, and here we are in August 2015. So we have hit our targets as regards the timeline. Ariane 6 is something we need if we're to be competitive and to continue to provide a guaranteed access to Europe in an increasingly competitive world, more and more cutthroat competition. So this is something that we'll be doing together as a team, and that is what we have already started to do. It doesn't mean that we're going to give up on Ariane 5, not at all, nor Soyuz and Vega. They're both operational. We mustn't drop our guard. Stéphane is constantly reminding us that we have to continue to improve the performance and competitiveness of Ariane 5 ECA, and we've been doing so today, indeed. We have to continue to operate Soyuz from French Guiana. I mean, obviously, that is an essential complement to Ariane 5 today, and we can see what we've been done since 2011. And then, of course, we've got the smaller launcher of Vega for future commercial launches. So we have all three of them operated here at the CSG. It's the Spaceport for Europe. Minister, you can count on the CNES to continue to contribute to further successes. And I appreciate the fact you're here, and it's an honor for me to give you the floor.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, parliamentarians, prefect, president of the Regional Council. I think everything has been said by those who spoke before me, but I am really delighted to be here, very happy to be here. As Stéphane Israël said, 67th success in a row. You have beaten a record today, but I hope you will continue to beat records in the future. But I wanted to be here for at least three reasons. First of all, because after all, what we are experiencing here is an adventure which represents idealism. But it's also an international, global adventure, but it's also something which reaches out first and foremost to French Guiana. As I said, this is an endeavor which is full of idealism. Building satellites, sending them out into the sky, I think people would probably have thought we were completely mad. And in fact, when General de Gaulle spoke about this, many people must have thought that it was completely unrealistic. And in fact, I remembered just when I was walking through the room which is ahead of us, the words of Chesterton came to me, and he wrote a poem which was a list of what Robinson Crusoe took with him to his island. There were 2 hams and 3 cheeses, 3 pieces of cheese. Because a poet is an idealist, and an idealist is always someone who is down to earth. And this is because it is these minor things that attach us to our earth. And so I think being an idealist means that you're also prosaic and very down to earth. And this is what I have noticed since I've been here. I have seen that each minor detail is followed carefully. Every little step is in fact implemented in her minute detail. And this is what makes you idealists. I would really like to congratulate ESA, CNES, Arianespace, Eutelsat, which is present here today, and TAS, SSL. All of you are here and represent that dedication to detail. And in fact, Jupiter today is a dedication of these minute details overlapping into a well-knitted cloth of success. Every day, teams, in fact, are working on these details for these dreams to become realities. And this is why I can say that the work has to be tightly knitted, close together. And there's got to be something which is well knit, close together, but the governance also has to be something which takes into consideration all these different elements. And this is what the French President of the Republic, in fact, has really wished to implement as well. I'd also like to thank Thierry Mondon and others who have continued to work at this, who have decided to simplify French governance, make it a little simplified and streamlined, and Ariane 6 will in fact allow us to open a new page and allow us to continue with this exciting agenda and exciting adventure. But this, as I said, is also a European and a world adventure, global adventure. It is in this way that we are going to improve humankind and services that are available to all. We will be working on science, telecommunications, Earth observation. We will therefore be improving our forms of communication, our ways of connecting with each other. We'll be using fibers, other ways in which to observe the Earth. And as you have all said, our world today is international. We have Soyuz and Vega here by our side, and we can see, therefore, here in French Guiana, we have, therefore, a truly international nature. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for being here by our side. But as we all know, competition is rife. New projects, new companies such as SpaceX, I think is proof of this. Therefore, we have to continue to be idealists, but we have to keep this in mind if we wish to succeed further. Now, we succeeded the space sector in Europe some years ago when the European Space Agency was set up. And in fact, the fact that we managed with the European Space Agency and with the CNES to undertake these very ambitious projects, it's because we took on board the fact that international competition was around us and had to be harnessed and tackled. And I would like to say that all of us together have to face these new challenges. The fact that costs are being cut. SpaceX, as you know, has in fact generated certain events around us, and all of us have to be ready to respond. We have to be more competitive from Arianespace, the CNES has to be more committed, and all of us are working hand in hand for Ariane 6. And I think the last ministerial meeting, I think, stressed this quite clearly. A few hours ago, I saw how this is actually being expressed here because the construction sites for Ariane 6 are already around us. Ariane 6, therefore, in 2020 will allow us, therefore, to move on to greater successes. And I've understood I'm going to continue to keep that pressure alive. So this is something which means that this adventure that we are sharing together will continue to exist in our sector, in our industries. It is an international challenge, it is global, and I think all of us have to work together to be able to achieve these goals. So the new structure which is taking place around ASL, the role of CNES and ESA will allow us to achieve this form of competition. And finally, as I said, this adventure is also an adventure which concerns French Guiana. General de Gaulle, in 1964, decided that he was going to undertake a major endeavor in French Guiana so that the rest of the world could look to French Guiana and see it and know it as it truly is. And that is something that we have seen evolve as well over this period. I would like to thank the elected representatives here of French Guiana, because you can see that these adventures that I've talked about have taken root in French Guiana and are successful. And I think figures speak for themselves. 15% of the jobs in French actually from the space sector. And in fact, we would, of course, like to step that up. That would be excellent. But if we wish that all the different industrial sectors be also successful as the space sector, and we hope that this will be the case, and we are taking steps along those lines. More and more of the French Guyanese population work in the space sector. And I'd like to thank the CSG, the CNES, and all the others who are present here for this. This was not the case some 15 years ago. Stéphane Israël mentioned this to me a few days ago. But you have done your utmost for, out of the 1,500 jobs that are available through the space sector, that 2/3 of them be held by the French Guyanese. These are jobs that are real jobs here. They are, of course, skilled jobs, and this is extremely important for all of us. Now, of course, we could go much further, and I think that is the mission, that is the role that we should have. We should go further by strengthening the links between, for example, universities, research centers, and the CSG. We can even go further than that, and in fact, training courses so that people in the area are proud to participate in this adventure and be part of the Guyanese space sector. It is already very successful, but if we go further, as I have said, then I think the industrial success will, in fact, trickle down to other successes in French Guiana. So, as I said, the adventure here is global, is international, it's French, and it's Guyanese. And all of you are part of that. And the French government will always be there to support you. Now, for some time now, people have often said, what will happen? I was wondering to myself if this evening, if the launch had not succeeded, what was I going to say? Some people had prepared a backup speech. I think you've got to be extremely optimistic, and I had only one speech prepared in my mind. But I think if it had not been a success, I would have perhaps thought of Simon Naïs when he spoke of Don Quixote. And he said Don Quixote was, of course, chasing windmills. And, of course, this was a disaster, but never achieve them. And those who actually succeed are those who have understood reality and who adapt to reality. Those who fail are those who have a dream, who wish to change the world without adapting to it. So today, if you wish to change the world, and you have managed to do so, if you wish to change the world, you have to adapt and innovate. We will always be by your side. Thank you.
Bon, mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, just to conclude, just to thank all of you one more time, and to tell that we have 2 next launches to deliver in September, which shows how European and international is what we do here with Arianespace from CSG. We will launch for Europe with Soyuz for Galileo on September the 10th, and it will be the 3rd launch for Galileo this last month. And we will have a launch for Argentina and Australia at the end of September. So September, 2 launches, one with Soyuz, one with one for the European Union and ESA, one for Argentina and Australia. Je crois que cela montre à quel point, effectivement, ce qui se joue ici nous dépasse très largement. Merci beaucoup.
What we're doing here goes far beyond the limits of Europe.
Well, we will say goodbye over a final launch replay coming up of Arianespace flight number 225. Goodbye from French Guiana, where Ariane 5 has once again delivered 2 new satellites beginning life, Eutelsat 8 West B and Intelsat 34, the 513th and 514th satellites launched by Arianespace since its career began in 1980. Congratulations to everybody. That makes 67 straight successful launches for Ariane 5. She has launched nearly 60% of the global market today, And she keeps on rolling. Next launch, as Stéphane Israël said, September 10th with the Soyuz. We'll be here. We hope you will be too. Until then, Joshua Jample, on behalf of everyone here at the Space Base, saying thank you for being with us. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to being with you next time. Goodbye, everybody.